to see for himself that creation can't come into being, the universe can't exist without a source behind. If that is the perception, that means if creation is rooted in the source, if that is the perception, then our whole existence also is rooted in the truth. That very perception that our existence is not isolated from the eternal. Our existence with thought or without thought, it doesn't matter. Our existence is not isolated from the fundamental source of everything. In fact, a lot of mental problems come to an end. A lot of emotional problems come to an end. Why? Because it is the sense of isolation from. What will happen to me if I leave this form and thought? Kya hoga mera? I say, you are a part of the whole. You are rooted in the whole. You are the whole ultimately. Thus, emptiness is not the source of everything. There is a source. This is what is being talked about. So, here there is a small little point I would like to convey. What is manifest can be seen, but what is unmanifest can never be seen. It can always be inferred. I don't have to give a long explanation why it is not. I don't have to say it is concealed by something, it is concealed by Kapala, it is concealed by this, it is concealed by that. Why? Because the unmanifest is something that can never be perceived. It cannot be seen, but it can be inferred. That's good enough. But somehow or other, Bhashyakara is saying the unmanifest is not seen because it is concealed by the Kapala. It's concealed by some other creation. The thought is concealed. Here it says, in fact, what you need to remember is only this. The unmanifest is always inferred. That's the matter. The entire argument can be avoided. This entire process of logic can be avoided once we make a statement. Vyakritam is perceived, is seen, whereas the avyakritam is inferred. And if the Purvapakshi has got something to say against this, then he should prove how it is not available for inference. The Purvapakshi cannot say that it is not available for inference, because the unmanifest is always available for inference. Because if it were non-existent, it would not have become manifest again. Remanifestation is not possible if it was non-existent. And therefore, this whole process is not, it is something, for a Uttama Adhikari, he can just bypass it. A very thinking person can just bypass this whole thinking, this whole reasoning. Why? Because the unmanifest is not concealed. The unmanifest can never be seen. It is available only for inference. That is why the jiva's prior existence is a matter of inference. Yes, even though Karmakanda talks about the continuity of the jiva, but if you go according to logic correctly, an individual before the birth, he was there as unmanifest. Before the life begins, the individual was unmanifest. And after the death, the individual will be unmanifest, can be inferred. I can infer the presence of the individual before the birth. We can also infer it after the death. Of course, going by the topic as unfolded by the Shruti itself says, the Shruti itself talks about, very beautiful, just try to listen to this. This particular inference is based on Shastra, because it is the Shastra which says that even when you don't see the universe is there as unmanifest. Even in Sushupti, even though you don't look at yourself as Mr. So-and-so, but that entire Mr. So-and-so-ness is unmanifest. Therefore, manifest and the unmanifest alternate each other is told by the Shastra. Whereas a layman, in contrary to what the Shastra says, a layman thinks it is not that the manifest alternates with the unmanifest presence. The manifest presence, a layman thinks the manifest presence doesn't alternate with the unmanifest presence. He thinks the manifest presence alternates with the non-existence, absence. So contrary to what a layman thinks, Shastra says the manifestation alternates with unmanifest. Meaning now it is unmanifest, now it is that is called alternation. Like pleasure and pain alternate with each other. एक के बाद एक आता रहता है. कभी सुख, कभी दुख, अभी सुख, अभी दुख, अभी सुख, अभी दुख. This is called alternating. They follow each other. They follow each other. Sukham and dukkham. Similarly, vyakritam and avyakritam follow each other. And whereas a layman thinks existence and non-existence follow. In fact, that he doesn't even think follow each other. Now there is existence and afterwards there will be non-existence forever. This following also, because even following each other is always a concept of vyakriti and avyakriti. Very beautiful thing. Thus, going by the Shastra only, it is the Shastra that helps me infer. It is not a layman's inference, it is the Shastra that helps us infer that the Jiva before his birth was there as unmanifest, and the Jiva after the death will be unmanifest. This inference is not a layman's inference, it is an inference helped by Shastra. Therefore, inference, supposing I derive some inference, if I take the help of the Shruti to make an inference, even though I call it inference, it is still Shabda Pramana. It is pointed out by Shabda. And the inference aided by Shastra, the logic helped by Shastra is called Shruti, Sammata, Yukti. The logic used by Shruti, yes. The logic used by Shruti is also Shruti. Logic used by Shruti to convey its vision is Shruti. Whereas a layman's logic is something else, that he uses the logic based on perception, based on his fundamental conclusions. He is born with certain fundamental conclusions. Anadi adhyasa. And whatever inferences he makes, they are always in conformity with that adhyasa. Whereas whatever logic the Shastra uses, it is in conformity with its vision of the truth. A layman cannot think contrary to his fundamental conclusion. I was not there before the birth. So previously I was non-existent, now I am existent, and again I will be non-existent. Therefore existence and non-existence follow each other. Whereas the Shruti says no. Thus, the moment we understand that avyakritam, the unmanifest situation of creation, is a matter of inference, then we don't have to insist, we don't have to ask a question, why is it not being seen? I say, the unmanifest can never be seen. It is always inferred. Bas. But is inference as valid as a perception? Yes. Yes. Inference is as valid. I don't see a tree in the seed, ji. That is why, in Chandogya Shruti, they take up the example of a banyan seed, where if you just, split it into two cotyledons, that two divisions, then you can't perceive any tree. Do you see a banyan tree inside a banyan seed? When you try to split it into two pieces, you almost crush it. And banyan seed is smaller than, for your information, banyan seed is smaller than your mustard seed. Even in mustard there are two kinds. So now I have to tell you how many kinds of mustard. Mataji, they must be, Swami, what do you think of us? Do you think that we don't know mustard? There is something called rai. Yes. That rai is smaller than mustard seed. It is almost like dust, ji. Rai is almost like dust. Banyan seed is even smaller than that. It is even smaller than rai seed. But even though you don't see a tree, banyan, even small bit of a tree you don't see, but yet you know, infer. That is the example given by the teacher in Chandogya. My dear student, bring the fruit of a banyan, bhindi, split it, take out one bija, split it. Do you see anything? No. From that seed comes this banyan tree. Thus the manifest is seen, the unmanifest is, but not seen, but is inferred. Once this is clear, can you go against that inference? Can you make a conclusion there is no banyan tree in the seed? A very difficult thing. I want you to think this particular thought. Can we really convince ourselves that as individuals before the birth we were non-existent? The logic says we were unmanifest. Unmanifest. Like in sleep we remain unmanifest and peaceful. As jivas we are unmanifest. As consciousness we are ever there. That's a different matter. And therefore, when we think correctly, correct thinking allows you no scope to make a wrong conclusion. Understand? It allows you no scope to make a wrong conclusion. You can't arrive at a wrong conclusion. I was not there. This particular form was not there, but Jiva was there. This particular biodata was not there. Even the reason for it was unmanifest. It was there. The karma was there. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this point. All this logic can be bypassed if we understand that avyakritam is a matter for inference. But here Bhashyakara is reasoning in a different manner, just to show that one creation conceals another creation. The source is ever evident. The source is ever evident. When it is a clay ball, it conceals the pot. When it is a kapalas, it conceals the pot. You understand? It conceals them. When it is pot, it conceals the clay ball. When it is a pot, it conceals the kapalas. Thus, a creation cannot conceal the source, but one creation can conceal another creation. This is what he is trying to show. The wave can conceal a bubble. First of all, it was a bubble, a big bubble, and then the bubble broke, and then it became again a wave. So we can say the wave is concealing a bubble. One creation can conceal another creation, but no creation conceals the source. This is the essence of this long discussion. Swamiji, why did you not give this essence? Few days ago, we have been going through the migraines of having to listen to this big logic. Is that idea? Now let us continue. Purvapakshi begins now. Pinda kapala dehe. So, if you say that the pinda and kapala, the clay ball and the kapala means the broken pieces of pot, that's called kapala. And kapala is the broken pieces of pot and the pinda is that clay ball. Why I don't, if the pot is already there in the clay, why I don't see it? Siddhanti said you don't see the pot because it is concealed by the clay ball, which is another creation, which is concealed by the kapalas, which are also another kind of creation. Now the Purvapakshi says, Pinda kapala dehe, this clay ball, that ballness of clay, and kapala, the pieces of, the broken pieces of pot, avarana vailakshanyat, how can they conceal a pot? They are totally unlike an avaranam. They don't seem to conceal anything. You know, the idea of concealing is always, supposing you place a pot behind the wall conceals it. You put something behind a curtain, then the curtain conceals it. You hold something in your hand, the hand conceals it. Put something in your pocket, the pocket conceals it. That means what conceals is different and what is concealed is different. Here the clay ball is within clay. The broken pieces of the pot are within clay. Even the pot has to be within clay. They are not different. They occupy the same place. Therefore, when they occupy the same place, how can the clay ball conceal pot? How can the pieces of pot can conceal the pot? So there is a difference between a wall being looked at as something that conceals, or a curtain that's being looked at as something that conceals. This clay ball and the kapala are totally unlike the wall and the curtain and darkness. Darkness can conceal, a wall can conceal, but how can a clay ball conceal the pot if it is there? Iti chet. Purvapakshi is arguing. Ultimately you will get good prasadamji, go on hearing it. Yes, ultimately Bhashyakara will have to come to that particular point, that the unmanifest, for lack of manifestation, it is there but it is not seen, but it can be inferred. That point will have to come ultimately. But right now, he is only refuting the Buddhists. Tamaha kudyadihi, Purvapakshi continues, darkness Kudya, a divar, a wall. Ghatadi avaranam, if you place a pot behind the wall, or you place a pot in darkness, Ghatadi bhinna desham, they occupy two different points of space. Wall is at one place, the pot is at another place. Similarly, Ghatadi avaranam, Ghatadi bhinna desham, trishtam is seen. We always see the difference between the wall and what it conceals. We always understand the difference between darkness and what it conceals, and occupying two different points of space. They are separate from each other. Na tatha, but aisa nahi hai. Ghatadi bhinna deshe drishte pindakapale. But the pinda is not seen something away from the pot. Kapala is not seen something separate from the pot, because the pinda is within clay, Kapala is within clay, and the pot also has to be within clay. When all of them are within clay, how can each conceal the other? Because in order to conceal something, what conceals must be different from what is concealed. They must occupy, they must be two different things. Now we can't look at pot is a different thing, clay ball is a different thing, and Kapala is a different, they are not three different things. Why? Because they occupy the same space called clay. That means they cannot be really distinct from one another. They cannot be separate. This is pot, this is clay ball, this is Kapala. You can't say. All the three ideas are there embedded in the same clay. So how can there be concealer-concealed relationship between pinda and pot and Kapala and pot? बहुत जबरदस्त logic है जी. How can you say there is avaranam? Deshe drishtam na tatha ghatadi bhinna deshe drishte pinda kapale. You know, before I go to the next line, I'll tell you something. Anyway, even if you don't study Vedanta, तो दुनिया में घूमते घूमते दिमाग को तो खराब तो करते ही हैं. Anyway, you go through mental migraines anyway. You go to Khan market or any market, you go through migraines anyway. These migraines are much better. It is better to enjoy the migraines by studying Shastra. It doesn't mean you get migraine. In case, even if you think that it causes migraines, but these are all benign migraines. These are liberating migraines. Shastra Adhyayanam gives you liberating migraines. The other ones, Ramachandra, they are incurable migraines. ऐसा सोच के खुशी से पढ़िए. Try to, the more you make an effort even to see the direction of logic, where does the logic take me? It always takes you to the truth. Logic always takes you to the truth. Yes. Right logic always takes you to the truth. Trust logic. But right logic. And right logic is that which is used by Shabda Praman. Yes. So anyway, the Purvapakshi says, sir, how can you say Kapala? How can you say Kapala conceals pot or Pinda conceals pot when all of them occupy the same space? Tasmat, therefore, Purvapakshi concludes, Pinda Kapala samsthanayoho vidyamanasya eva ghatasya avritatvat Anupalabdhiriti ayuktam. Therefore it is improper on your part, hey Siddhanti, to say. It is not right on your part to say that the pot is not seen because it is concealed by the pinda. It is not seen because it is concealed by kapala. To say that is not right because the pinda cannot conceal the pot. In order to conceal something, there have to be two things. A wall can conceal a pot behind, a box can conceal inside it, a pocket can conceal something in it, a fist can conceal something in it, the darkness can conceal something in it. But how can the pinda conceal the pot? How can the kapala conceal the pot? Therefore, for you to say that the pot is not seen because it is concealed by kapala and pinda is ayuktam. It is not, you are not being logically right. Purvapakshi says. Avarana dharma vailakshanyaditi chet, because very beautiful. Pinda doesn't enjoy the quality of being a concealer. Kapala doesn't enjoy the quality. It is not qualified to conceal anything. It doesn't have the quality to conceal. Like a wall has a quality to conceal. But a pinda has no quality to conceal a pot. Therefore, why not we accept when it is a clay ball, there is no pot? Why not we accept when it is a kapala, there is no pot? Why not we say, when the pot breaks, there is no pot, it is much easier. Life becomes much easier. Life becomes so easy. When the pot breaks, there is no pot. Now you are coming up with so much of logic to establish, even when the pot is broken, it is still there. Rama. Even before the pot was born, it was there. That's what you want to say. This is something and I can't. You say pot was there even before it was created. And pot is there even after it is destroyed. But we only know that pot was not there before it was created. Pot will not be there after it is destroyed. You are saying no, it is there before, it is there now, it is there. Why are you complicating life? We are peace-loving people. And you are disturbing our mental peace by taking such a critical stand, such a funny stand. Now Bhagavan says, anyway, Siddhanti's main motive is, here I hope you will be able to understand, a very important point. Siddhanti is using all this logic not to say that it is a matter for inference. He is not interested in proving something. He is not interested in saying that. He is more interested in refuting the stand of the Purvapakshi. Khandana. The entire discussion is twofold in Shastra. One is Khandana, the other is Mandana. Khandana means just to refute what you say. That is called Khandana. The logic that we use to refute is different. And the logic that we use for refuting, we may not use it for Mandana. Bahut badi baat hai ji. The logic that we use for Khandana, the logic that we use to refute somebody, we may not be using to say what I want to say. To refute what you want to say, I may use logic. That logic I may not use to say what I want to say. This whole thing, this whole logic, Bhagavan Bhashyakara may not use when he comes and says, sir, don't look for seeing the unmanifest. It is meant for inferring. Bas khatam. But now why this long logic? In order to refute the Purvapakshi. It is just to say you are wrong. Your very logic is wrong. Because if it were not there, it can't manifest. Now, the Purvapakshi's logic is this. A wall can conceal the pot, a curtain can conceal the pot because they are two different things. Okay? But here the pot is not different from the pinda, and pinda is not different from the kapala. They all occupy the same place. Whereas the wall and the pot occupy different places. So one can conceal the other, but pinda can't conceal because they all occupy the same place. Now the Siddhanti says, even if they occupy the same place, avaranam is possible. Like what? He comes up with an example. Nah, sir, no. It is possible for one thing to conceal another thing even if they occupy the same place. How? Chira udakadehe. Very beautiful. Milk and water. Milk and water. When you mix milk with water, the milk conceals water. They occupy the same space, but the water is there. If you mix water with the milk, it is still white, all right. You don't see water. So water is there, but it is concealed by milk. But they occupy same place. Anyway, you have to refute the logic, wrong logic, through another logic. It is meant for refutation. Why? Because this is another thing. Unless you refute the other person, it doesn't become quiet. If supposing you have something to say, but he is not ready to listen to what you have to say. He is firm with his stand. Therefore, you can silence him by refuting. Therefore, refuting, khandanam is a part of thinking. Telling you. Khandanam is a part of reflection. When you khandana, when you refute another person, you are not refuting the person, you are refuting a given line of thinking. And that line of thinking also happens to be the universal line of thinking. Therefore, when I refute somebody's wrong line of thinking, I am refuting my own line of thinking, yes. It is the Shastra that is refuting, being commented by Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya is not refuting, Shabda Pramana is refuting. Are you able to follow this point? And you cannot silence a person without refuting that person. Because he is not interested in hearing what you want to say. He holds on to his stand. How do you silence him? By saying that I have got something to say, please listen. He says, keep what you want to say with yourself. Listen to what I have got. In fact, you can humble a man through refutation. And humbling a man is only a way of helping him. Yes. When you humble a man through refutation, you are only helping him. His ego is cut to size. And anything that happens in life that can cut the ego is good. That person suddenly understands. It is a blessing in disguise. Because the process of humility has to begin somewhere. And if the process of humility has to begin somewhere, it can only begin when the ego is cut to size. Not till then. Not till then. Ravana's ego was cut to size when Indrajit was gone. His son was gone. He was shaken. You see? And therefore, here it is said, this entire logic is used to refute the thinking of the Shunyavadi. Na kshira udakadehe like milk and water, Kshiradi avaranena, by the cover of milk, Ekadeshatva darshanat. Ekadeshatva, the water seems to occupy the same place as milk, and yet it is covered by milk. Milk and water occupy the same space, but yet the milk conceals water. Anyway, an example. This is not going to unfold the whole thing. It is not meant for pratipadanam. It is meant for khandanam. It is not a part of mandanam. Who is going to understand this? The logic that is a means to do khandanam, please don't take it as the means for mandanam. When the Shastra has something to say, it will say. That's different. That is mandanam. Mandanam means, saying, adorning the truth. It's called a mandanam. Mandapam? Mandir ka mandap hota hai na? Kalyana mandapam. What is mandapam? Shobhit karta hai. Adornment to the temple. An ornament to the temple is called mandapam. Mandayati. Shobhayati. जो शोभा देता है उसका नाम मंडप है. Mandanam means shobha dena. One is refuting, the other is establishing. Mandanam. Therefore, this Khandana Mandana is a part of thinking. Please don't hate this. It is not some kind of, Khandana Mandana is not something intellectual exercise. No. Khandana Mandana is a part of understanding the truth. Any Khandana is beautiful if it is meant for understanding the truth. Any Mandana is beautiful, it is meant for understanding. If the motive is the truth, if truth is the objective, any Khandana is wonderful. If truth is the objective, Mandana is useful. But this particular Drishtantam that is being given by the Siddhanti, sir, the milk and water occupy the same space and yet the milk conceals water, is a Drishtantam given by the Siddhanti more for refuting the Purvapakshi rather than telling what he wants to say. Ultimately he is going to say it. Without any logic even he says. Yes sir, the unmanifest you can't say, that is why the unmanifest you can't see because that is why it is called unmanifest. But you can infer it. You can infer it. But before that, this entire process of reasoning is meant to refute. And in the same context, I would like to, don't feel bored, understand this. When you make an effort to withdraw from the wrong is a different effort. When you make an effort to cultivate the right, it is a different effort. There are two different efforts. If you want to withdraw from alcohol, it is a different effort. If you want to cultivate the right food, that is a different effort. One is Khandana, the other is Mandana. Avoiding the wrong is Khandana. Cultivating the right is Mandana. Yes. Khandana Mandana. Siddhanti continues. Ghatadi karye, in a pot, Kapala churnadi avayavanam. Within the pot is Kapala. The pieces of pot are within the pot. Churna, the dust. In a clay it is, but it can be churna. If you break it and then grind it, it becomes churna. Adi avayava antarbhavat. They are all within the pot. Once we say pot, it includes the clay ball in it, it includes the kapala in it, it includes the churnam in it. Antarbhavat, anavaranatvam, what is within it, how can it conceal it? The pinda is within the pot. Within the idea of the pot is the pinda. Within the idea of the pot is the kapala. Within the idea of the pot is the churnam. Then how the pot is concealed by the pinda? How the pinda is concealed by the kapala? How the pinda is concealed by the churnam? How can it be concealed by another creation when all creations are? Because I can explain, leave it. Pinda is a partial creation. Kapala is a partial creation. What is a full creation? A full creation includes all partial creations. Even though they are called other creations, but these creations are within the pot. How can the pot be concealed by pinda, kapala, etc.? Antarbhavat anavaranamiti chet. He Purvapakshi, if you were to ask, if you were to say that because they are all within the pot, therefore they can't conceal the pot. No, it's not true. Vibhaktanam, very beautiful. This is something very, very high class argument. Vibhaktanam, because pot has, there is a word for pot. There is a word for kapala. There is a word for pinda. There is a word for churna. If there are different words, but they are not synonyms. Jalam, pani, water, tani, all these things are synonyms called paryaya shabdas. Even though words are many, thing is one. But when we say pot, pinda, clay ball, kapalas, churnam, they are not synonyms. They are referring to different things. Vibhaktanam karyantaratvat, they are all to be taken as different creations. Baba. I like this. It has to be a separate creation within the clay. A pile of clay is one creation, a clay ball is another creation, kapala is another creation, pot is another creation. Why? Because each word refers to something else. We may bulldoze thinking like this in all of them after all. They say, that is all okay, but each creation, in order to make a given creation, the previous creation has to become unmanifest. And the present creation has to become unmanifest to give place to the next creation. And the next creation has to become unmanifest to give place to the next creation. In this manner, every creation dissolves when the other creation comes. This is common sense. But put in a technical language, that the clay ball conceals what is manifest, conceals what has become unmanifest. Basji. Clay ball conceals the pot. Kapala conceals the pot. And the churnam conceals the pot. And when the pot comes, and pot conceals the clay ball, and pot conceals the kapala, and pot conceals the churna. Thus creations replace one another. You know why there is so much of emphasis? This logic that is used to refute Buddhist can be used by a Uttamadhikari, by a good student. It can be used to understand Jagrat and Swapna replace each other. Both are creations. That is why Karikakara says, we'll go to it, just listen to this. Karikakara says in Mandukya, Jagrat Avastha and Swapna Avastha can't exist parallel to each other. Jagrat must have laya for the, because both of them have to take place in the same truth. In the same truth. The material for Jagrat and the material for Swapna is the same truth. Like a clay is the same material for both clay ball and the pot. Jagrat must have laya for the Swapna to begin. Swapna must have laya for the Jagrat to begin, etc. And now see, right in this context, let me, if you can, we'll go into that, don't worry. If Jagrat has laya in Swapna and Swapna has laya in Sushupti, that means what? Jagrat has already had a laya. That means in Sushupti there is laya of Jagrat as well as Swapna. And Sushupti as Sushupti has a laya. When you change the vision, Sushupti is not one of the three. Sushupti is non-dual. Then the Sushupti as one of the three states has laya. Are you able to follow? In understanding. Jagrat has an effortless laya. Swapna has an effortless laya in Sushupti. And Sushupti as one of the three states has laya means refutation. It is disproved. When we look at Sushupti not as one of the three states but as the non-dual. That means within the non-dual, even the idea of it as Sushupti is resolved. And what remains? The Chaturtha. Even Sushupti as one of the three states is a creation, is a thought. Jagrati is Adhyasa, Swapna is Adhyasa. Even Sushupti as one of the three states is Adhyasa, but Sushupti as non-dual is the truth. What is within experience? Sushupti as one of the three or Sushupti as non-dual? What is Anubhava? Sushupti as non-dual. But Sushupti as one of the three states is a conclusion after waking up. Is it not true? Is it not enlightenment? You need two enlightenments. Swamiji, how? One is, the first enlightenment is enlightening yourself about the non-dual self that you are. The second enlightenment is enlightening that you are already enlightened. Understanding that you are already enlightened. Yes. Because Sushupti as one of the three states is also a part of Jagrat. I know it is difficult for you to bring that mind to what I am saying. Sushupti as one of the three states is a part of Jagrat. But when you recollect Sushupti, it is never recollected as, it is concluded as one of the three, but recollected as non-dual. But human beings don't, they have no training to recollect Sushupti. They are not educated enough to recollect Sushupti as it was experienced. They always look at Sushupti as one of the three. It is an error. And when they remember, when they look at Sushupti as one of the three, they think it is recollection. It is not recollection, it is restating an error. Yes, we remember Sushupti. How do you remember the Sushupti as one of the three states? That is not remembering, that is restating the error that is made about Sushupti within Jagrat. And recollecting Sushupti means objectively it is free from the three states. Thus one creation, all creation, see, one creation replaces another creation, but all creations are falsified in the light of the truth. karyantaratvat avaranatva upapattehe. Up to that, Bhashyakara says, sir, yes, even though the pot includes the kapala, the pot includes the pinda, the pot includes the churnam and all that, but yet the words like pot, vibhaktana means when we look at them separately, pot has separate. The word pot refers to something. The word pinda refers to something else. The word churna refers to something else. And the word kapala refers to something. They are not synonyms. If they are not synonyms, then they are definitely different things. Karyantaratvat, avaranatva, but all of them are creations. And therefore one can conceal the other. Therefore, the Siddhanti is only refuting the thought of the Purvapakshi. Sir, I am only refuting your statement that there is no pot. You are saying, before the creation of the pot, there is no pot. When there is clay ball, there is no pot. When there is kapala, there is no pot. After the breaking of the pot, there is no pot. You are only concluding that there is no pot. I am saying there is never a time when the pot is not. Because before the pot was born, it was there and manifest. When it is born, it is manifest. When it dies, again it becomes unmanifest. It is never non-existence. Non-existence, Vedic culture does not accept non-existence of anything at any time. Swamiji, what about the sixth element is non-existent? We don't talk about the non-existence of the sixth element. We talk about the existence of the five elements. Understand? We never refer to the non-existence of sixth element. That is a Bhranti. Why imagine the sixth and then say it is not there? Why do you want to be distracted from the is to the is not? Because even the thought that the sixth element is not, that thought is. And the one who thinks is. That means you can never have non-existence as such. Even the idea of non-existence is rooted in existence. That's an important thing. Non-existence is an idea. Existence is a fact. Did you hear that? Hare Rama. Non-existence is an idea. Existence is a fact. Idea is rooted in fact, the truth. We are here only refuting, sir, your conclusion that the pot is non-existent. And now, just another few minutes. Purvapakshi begins. Avarana abhavaha abhave eva yatna kartavyaha iti chet. Now this is something interesting, ji. It's speaking, the argument is speaking now. वो गरम हो रहे हैं, पूर्व पक्षी गरम हो रहा है. There is no such a thing called, peaceful discussion, ji. There are no such things called peaceful discussion. Very understanding discussion. I said, कुछ नहीं है. Because you go to any conference, the cudgels speak. You understand cudgels? Cudgels means lathiyan. AK-47s. They are called cudgels. This is also cudgel. There are no peaceful debates. Do you know why people call me to come for conferences? I don't go. Why? Because there is no such a thing called conference. It is only a conflict. There are no conferences. Kuch nahi ji. ये तो हमको मालूम है. In fact, भगवान शंकराचार्य जी से सत्संगत्वे निस्संगत्वम, निस्संगत्वे निर्मोहत्वम, निर्मोहत्वे निश्चल तत्वम, निश्चल तत्वे जीवन. सत्संग करो, बाकी चीज़ों से निस्संग हो जाओ. निस्संगता में शांति है. उस शांति से आत्मा को, अपने आप को समझ लो और चले जाओ. यहाँ पर you don't have to play God here. भगवान ने सृष्टि किया है, let him come, handle it. You handle yourself. And if you try to discuss with somebody, how many people was Bhagavan, how many people did Bhagavan, was he able to talk to? कितनी लोगों को समझा पाया जी भगवान? How many people was he able to talk to? Even Arjuna was पता नहीं how much he understood in that kolahala. You see? Anyway, ji, debate is speaking. I'm just saying something because I've said it's speaking. Do you know how it speaks? Purvapakshi says, if you think pot is there and it is only concealed, then you should not make an effort to create it. You should only make an effort to remove the avaranam. Why do you require a pot wheel? That wheel. Why do you want to create a pot? Only remove the veil. If there is something in your hand, in the fist of your hand, you don't have to create it, just remove the veil. If there is something behind the curtain, just remove the curtain. Here also, if you think the pot is concealed by something, remove that something, that veil remove. But why do you don't have to create a pot? Why do you want to create a pot? Avarana abhave eva, only in removing the avaranam, the veil, yatnaha kartavyaha, the effort should be made. Iti chet. If this were the argument, sir, Purvapakshi says, sir, if I were to say that if you think the pot is there but concealed, then only remove the veil, remove the avaranam. Why do you have to create? Hasn't it peaked? Don't you feel the hot? You don't feel the embers, sparks flying? Why do you want to create pot? Only remove the veil. Why do you take it to a pot wheeler, pot maker? Poor Siddhanti. But even the Purvapakshi does not know. Siddhanti is talking like this. He is as though delivering himself into the hands of the Purvapakshi. But the Purvapakshi doesn't know. He is using his entire logic only to refute him, not for saying what he wants to say. It is a khandan chal raha hai. Purvapaksha khandan is chal raha hai, not Siddhanta Pratipadanam. If Siddhanti were to say that the avyakritam can't be seen, it is a matter for inference, it is Siddhanta Pratipadanam. That is Mandanam. Then it is Pratipadanam, for which you don't require much of logic. But to refute the Purvapaksha, you have to be more elaborate. That is why Shastra gets tired of refuting the Purvapakshis. But to say what it wants to say, it is very effortless. That is why Mandukya Upanishad has got only a handful of verses. It is only 10 verses. Why? Because it doesn't do the khandana of anyone. It only presents the truth. Bas. It says what it wants to say. It is only agama. There is no yukti. Whereas the Karikakara comes up with Vaitatya Prakaranam, Advaita Prakaranam, and all these things. But the first Prakaranam, the Alata Shanta Prakaranam, etc. But the first Prakaranam is only Shruti. It doesn't have much of Pratyakhyana, means refutation. It only says. Therefore, for the Shruti to say what it wants to say, it takes no time. But to refute the universal Purvapakshis, the universal thoughts of confusion, takes. It is not actually the Shruti which does it, which is the Sampradayam. Sampradayam refutes, whereas Shruti only does the Pratipad. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Udishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. ठीक है जी. हरि ओम. नारायण नारायण. Ramachandra, Ramachandra.